I'm Jean Grosbeck with Coldwell Banker Island Living. Our guest today is Keith Shank with Certified Home Inspection Services. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Jean. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for joining us. Today I'd like to ask you about well water testing and what's involved in that.
There are pretty much two options for well testing. There's the basic bacteria test where we just take and run a sample and take the test of the bacteria in the water, and that's the number one option that most people do. The second option is to do a more complete sample where we check the different components of the soil that the water's flowing through to determine if there's bacteria, if there's arsenics or nitrates or other options. And there's also flow testing. Typically, the flow test and the major components of bacteria can be found by contacting the individual that drilled the well. That information should be able to come from the county, and with that information, without going through a large expense, you can take and have the opportunity to have the information you need on well flow and what was sampled before the permit was provided for the house when it was built. And so that's one option. But I always encourage clients to take and do a bacteria sample before they purchase a house, because that can change and from year to year, so that should be done.
So what is involved in taking a sample? I've heard of people just sticking a glass under the kitchen tap, and we know that is not the best way to do it.
Okay, well, for starters, you need to contact one of the local companies that do water sampling. Then you need to get their sterilized bottle, and then you need to follow their directions. A lot of people make mistakes when they do their own sampling and they contaminate their own sample. I always encourage people to hire somebody professional to take a sample, or at least talk to somebody or read the directions on the sample kit so that they take the sample correctly. For example, if you use a kitchen faucet that has a swivel on it, bacteria will lay in that swivel and you'll have a contaminated sample simply because of the spigot that you use. So making sure that you use the appropriate location to take your sample is very important. And then also making sure that you take the samples correctly. And so that depends on the individual, which course you want to do, but you need to be careful that you don't contaminate your own sample.
So if someone is buying a home with a well, they just need to let you know that they want the water tested at the same time, and you'll test the water for them.
That is correct. It's always best to know in advance if the well needs to be sampled so that we can talk about fees. But I always carry the sample bottles with me, and we're able to take and provide that service to the clients at any time.
Well, Keith, great information. If you are purchasing a home with a well, there are perhaps some other tests that make sense, flow tests, etc. But certainly a good place to start is by having a licensed home inspector come out and talk to you about various options, and at a bare minimum, the bacterial level should be tested. I'm Jean Grosbeck with Coldwell Banker Island Living. We would love to help you with your home purchase, and you can reach any of our agents at 360-293-4511. And Keith, what's the best number to reach you?
Best number is 360-770-2891.
Great, thanks.